You can't have Mortal Kombat without Raiden. The God of Thunder is simply too popular, and his moveset is iconic. In fact, his attacks barely changed at all throughout the entire Mortal Kombat series, until Mortal Kombat X dared to try something different. Traps, setups, and godlike damage made this Raiden truly unique. So today, let's discuss the trickiest god in Mortal Kombat history after a quick word from today's sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by Bloodlines, Heroes of Lithus, and it offers unique gacha gameplay unlike any other game on the mobile market. Choose your path by raising heirs with true companions from a vast fantasy world, and then customize your champions by making different bloodlines until you find a unique combination of any 5 powerful abilities out of dozens of traits that suits your own need for gameplay. The possibilities are endless. You can even build your own kingdom and economy, and this entire thing is free, by the way, on the App Store or iOS. But now it's time to talk about the champions, my favorite part about this game. First up, we have the Dragonborn. They're fierce, deadly, and very horny. No, seriously, they have really big horns on their head. And then we have the Lycans, powerful werewolves killing everybody under the full moon, and they are oddly attractive as well. And I'm not sure how to feel about that. And hey, they're free when you log in, so that's neat. And don't forget about your romantic companions. You can swap their gender to suit your playstyle. And then you can level up that relationship and have a very powerful offspring. Then that becomes your heir, and finally a fully playable character on your team. How sick is that? You can meet somebody, have a child, raise them, and add them to your party as a battle-ready warrior. Oh, and did I mention you can also marry the champions for even stronger offspring and then make an entire family tree to get the strongest traits possible? This game is pretty much Dragon Age meets The Sims, and I'm here for it. Use my link down below and download the game today. Once again, it's free, and there's so many awesome things to do. You can level up your champions, you can romance your partners and have powerful heirs, you can create a bustling economy, all that amazing stuff. And all of it is yours to enjoy for free. Just use my link down below and download Bloodlines today. Today we're discussing the most interesting version of Raiden to ever exist, his Master of Storms variation. This build has so many gimmicks and setups that you can't help but love it because the possibilities are endless. The only limit is your own creativity. And it's all thanks to this little move right here, the static trap, but I'm going to refer to it as the orb. As you can see, this move does constant damage to the opponent when they're nearby. Once they're a bit further away, it no longer does any damage at all. And on top of that, it doesn't actually hit the opponent. It doesn't count towards a combo. However, oddly enough, it does still give you a first hit bonus at the start of the round if you land it. And that's a big deal because landing the first hit gives you a meter bonus. So even though you're not actually hitting the opponent, you still get granted the first hit as long as the enemy's nearby when you summon it. And believe it or not, it doesn't even matter if the opponent is blocking. They will still take constant damage from the orb as long as they're nearby. And that becomes a really big deal, especially in the corner, because now the opponent can no longer walk backwards. They have to attack you or jump over you, try to armor away, something of that nature. They have to move, because every second they stay still, their life bar is in danger. Look at the health bar just melt away, and this orb stays around for much longer than you think. I'm gonna sit here and just wait it out, and you won't believe how long it stays on screen. You're going to be flabbergasted. Your jaw's gonna be on the floor. It takes away about 1/4 of the opponent's health bar before it's gone. And all that damage you just saw was only if the opponent doesn't move, but this orb doesn't go away when you hit the opponent. It stays on screen, which means your combos do even more damage, and Raiden has combos in this game. Boy, howdy does he have combos. Even with just 1 bar of meter, the opponent's almost half dead at the end of a combo. So now imagine that same combo, but the orb is on screen doing constant damage to your health bar as well. Look at the damage now. It's gonna go up a little bit. Boom, almost 50% damage. In fact, it is 50% because the opponent still has to get up, and they're gonna take a little bit of damage at that moment, so it's guaranteed 50% damage in the corner. And that was just the overhead. Keep in mind, Raiden has 50/50s in this game. He can do a low combo starter as well, and even that combo still does some good damage, so whether it's a low or an overhead, this orb adds even more damage to your already damaging combos. And you might be thinking, oh well, that's just in the corner, right? Outside of the corner, the pressure isn't as crazy, but here's the thing, Raiden has this move, Electric Fly, which even from mid-screen takes you all the way to the corner. And if you don't believe me, seeing is believing. One combo, the opponent is cornered, and I already have the orb on screen too. And here's the thing, even if you do have the defense of a god, you can block every low and overhead on reaction. Guess what? You still have to worry about the throw, because Raiden can throw you into the orb. And even though the damage isn't crazy, it's still more damage than a regular throw, and on top of that, it doesn't cost any meter, so I would argue the damage is very decent for an unblockable mix-up. And don't forget that throws are unblockable, so yeah, overheads, lows, and throws can all lead to a full combo in this variation. Oh, but don't worry, we're just getting started, because Raiden has a lot of these. It's not just the forward version and the back version. He can do one straight above him, he can do one above and in front, and above and behind. And then on top of that, there's no limit to how many of these you can put on screen. The game doesn't stop you, so you can just mash the special move and put a bunch on screen if you want to. However, like you've already seen, the cool stuff happens when you put 2 on screen. The game actually connects them and does damage to the opponent if they're anywhere near the orbs or anywhere in between the orbs. And believe it or not, there's no limit on how far these orbs can travel. I can put one over here, carry the opponent all the way to the corner, and then put one over here, and guess what? It connects them all the way across the screen. That's right, I pretty much just connected the entire stage and the game doesn't care. As long as you put 2 orbs down, it's going to connect them regardless of the distance between. And even though that's not very likely to happen, it does open up some interesting gimmicks, like putting an orb on screen and then getting the opponent to forget about it, because remember, they stay on screen for a long time. So you can go for pressure or a mix-up and then set up your second orb, but the opponent thinks it's the first orb and then gets zapped because they weren't paying attention or they forgot about the first orb completely. Forget calling him Raiden, he's low-key in this variation because he is the god of tricks and mischief. Pretty much anytime you knock the opponent down, you can summon an orb and remain pretty much safe. And you can do this after 1-1-2 or the electric fly. All of these are great for setting up the orb. In fact, you can even do it after this string back 1-1, 1+3, and I believe the summon is still relatively safe, even in the corner where the opponent's closer to you. Or you can do my personal favorite and use back 1-4 because this restands the opponent, which means you can do a combo, end with back 1-4 and then summon the orb, and the opponent's left right in front of it without a wake up attack, and that's a pretty big deal in Mortal Kombat X. Denying the opponent's wake up is already a big deal, but then on top of that, they have to deal with the orbs slowly melting their health bar away. However, if the opponent's blocking, it's a different story, because summoning the orbs on block is never safe. It's a guaranteed punish every single time if the opponent reacts fast enough. However, your opponent is still human, which means their reactions aren't the fastest thing in the world, and then on top of that, you can confuse them by summoning the orb at random moments during your strings. So take for example this overhead right here. It has 2 hits and the second hit leads to a full combo, and the opponent expects that second hit to come, but now instead, boom, go for the orb. Or how about this string, 2-1-4, it ends in a low, and the opponent expects that, so they're gonna crouch block, but instead you summon the orb, boom, and hopefully block in time before the opponent can respond. In fact, you don't even need a mix-up all the time. It doesn't have to be a low or an overhead. This string is normally 3 hits, so instead just summon the orb instead of going for your 3rd hit. Even little tricks like that can be a great way to keep the opponent guessing. And keep in mind, the risk is only with the first orb, otherwise it's relatively safe. If I have 1 orb on screen and then summon a second one, even though I'm technically unsafe, there's not much the opponent can do because they have to avoid the trap, otherwise they'll get launched for a full combo. Even a lot of special moves that are great reversals and very fast are not a good idea against this trap. Take for example Reptile's Reptilian Dash, extremely fast and it even switches sides, so you would think that it's great for avoiding the trap. However, you might be surprised what happens. Let's test that theory. I'm gonna do something on block and set up the second orb. I get punished, but look at that. He gets launched by the lightning and I am free to combo him, and because I have this move, he's all the way in the corner and I can then set up a second orb. In fact, even a poke or an uppercut can still lose to the trap. You gotta be really careful. Maybe you can do a down 3, down 4, or even a down 1 with certain characters, but outside of those pokes, there's not very much you can do to escape this trap. And as a result, almost everything Raiden does is now safe on block. Even mix-ups and strings that would normally be unsafe are now much harder to punish once that second orb is on screen. However, do not misunderstand, there definitely are certain special moves that can avoid the trap completely. In fact, Reptile actually has one, the Reptilian Slide, or just the Slide as it's called. If Reptile does this move as a reversal, there's nothing I can do about it. It's going to avoid the trap and even recovers in time to block standing. Even if I do the trap really early, it doesn't matter. The slide can still punish me every single time. And I won't lie, I'm kinda salty about that, but at the end of the day, Reptile's Slide is one of the best special moves for avoiding this trap. But even so, you'd be shocked how many special moves lose to this trap. Even if the special move has armor, a lot of the time the player will still get stuck in the electricity. And that's why against certain characters, this trap makes almost everything Raiden does completely safe. And then if Raiden is fighting somebody without a projectile, he can get the life lead and then just do stuff like this indefinitely, and the opponent just never gets to come in. It's kind of ridiculous. Are there some ways to hit him? Yes, maybe, but it's way trickier than you might think. At the tournament level, this nonsense is never going to work, but against a casual opponent online, I want to see somebody try this and see if they can actually run the clock out if the opponent has a character with no projectiles. Because even though I'm certain that every character has a way around this nonsense, I don't think the human opponent will know what that answer is, so I kind of want to see somebody try this online and just see what happens against a regular casual opponent. And in case you're curious, you can spend meter on this move and you get 2 orbs instantly, which means the trap is guaranteed pretty much every single time. And as a result, most regular opponents won't know how to punish this thing, and almost everything you do is going to be safe because they're not expecting 2 orbs at once and won't know how to react in time. In fact, even at a higher level of play, the EX orb summon can be a really good idea because it makes Raiden much tougher to punish, and honestly most players are expecting the 1 orb summon, not both. And that's about it for Master of Storms. Against a regular player, this variation was very sneaky and very tough to deal with, even on block, as long as you mixed up when you summon the orbs. However, at the pro level, it's a much different story. Pretty much nobody used this variation because even if it did have some viability, it just wasn't worth the effort. Yeah, this orb does more damage, but if you want damage, then just play Kotal Khan, and sure, it's good for setups on block, but there's plenty of characters with way better pressure on block, so Master of Storms is only fun if you enjoy playing it, at least at the pro level. But let's be honest, most of you watching are not pros, you're casual players just like me, and as a result, this build can be completely fine for you. Because at the end of the day, this variation made Raiden the trickiest god in Mortal Kombat history, and I hope you enjoyed my breakdown of it. If you did, then please leave a like down below, it really does help my channel out a ton, and then keep that combo going by subscribing and ringing that bell, that way you never miss a future video. Make sure to come back next time, and as always, stay underdogs.